Hello, everybody, and welcome back. It is Thursday, February 3rd. I had to think about that for a minute. And I am so glad to be back with you guys. It's another Thursday, so we're going to be running with scissors, creating fun new projects with all sorts of different kinds of crafting techniques. There's always something new and different going on here, so it's always fun to see what we come up with. There's always a group of chatty crafters over in our chat area. So if you are new here, I would love for you to pop over to that chat and just say hello and tell us where you're from. As we get started today, I've got a little poll out there. As you may know, the Card Maker's Success Summit, that's it. I don't know why I'm always forgetting what it's actually called. I just always call it the summit. The Card Maker's Success Summit is coming. It will be here on February 17th, and I am going to be one of the presenters for it. I'm doing some really cool projects, mixed media that, you're going to be like, oh, I can do this too. It's so easy. You're going to love it. Some mixed media collage card projects, and I'm going to be doing Facebook Live with them. We're going to be doing a VIP crop on Saturday, the 19th. So it's going to be jam-packed. If you look at the schedule, it goes from 9 to 9 on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, if you include the crop. And then on Sunday, it goes from, I think, like 9 to 4. It's crazy. It is a lot of crafting, tons going on. So that's what today's poll is all about. Have you registered for the Card Makers Success Summit? It is free. You do not have to pay to go. It is absolutely 100% free. I'm glad to see a whole bunch of you have registered. So it's going to be a ton of fun. Things are already happening over in the Facebook group. People are getting accepted in, and they are saying hello. There is crafty chat going on. There are tons of sponsors too. So it's going to be just a really cool weekend, and that's in a couple weeks. So February 17th, you've got 2 weeks to register for it. It will start 2 weeks from today. Get registered. All right, so as we go on to the rest of our announcements, as you know, we are into February and we are doing a dynamic die only card making month. So we will only be using dies this month, no stamps whatsoever. We will add in some other ink techniques occasionally, but there will be no stamping, none whatsoever. No stamping. So today we are starting with a great project. It is also a sneak peek of the new Altenew Craft Flower that is coming out on Monday. So all the dies that we're using this month are also all Altenew, because I am doing some hops with them, some releases. I'm doing the Craft Flower release, which will, like I said, will be on Monday. You'll get a sneak peek of it today. And then also later in the month, I am doing a die release with them as well. So we'll be using some of their dies for that too. So dies all the time. Of course, if you don't have any of these dies, you can use dies in your stash and create similar projects inspired by them. And when you do that and you share it on social media, I'd love for you to tag me at Nicole Creates, because I love to see how you are inspired by everything that we do here. Let's see what else is going on. Crafty sales, always crafty sales. Scrapbook.com's got a sale going on. If you need Copic refills, Scrapbook Pal is having 15% off Copic refills. I'm probably going to grab some because I know that I need a couple after I've done some weight and measure and checked on some of my markers. Anyway, let's see. That's about it. If you need any supplies from today's project, those are all linked down below. They are affiliate links. It's an easy way to support crafters by using those affiliate links. I may get a small commission at no additional cost to you. I really, truly appreciate it every time you use an affiliate link to shop. It really helps out to create free stuff for you here on YouTube and my blog. And if you really feel like it, you can always support me directly by just giving me a tip in the tip jar. That link is also down below. So thank you to Nancy, and triple heart thank you, anonymous donor, for sending me a couple of bucks last week. I do always appreciate it. And welcome to a whole bunch of new subscribers to my channel. I appreciate you all too. Okay, guys, let's take a look at our project. Here's our project for today. Bask in the glory of the new craft of flower. It is a magnolia. I was drawn to the leaves because there are 3 different layers of leaves. There's this nice little thin bit here. You can see this in the gold. There's a medium layer, and then there's also a full leaf background layer that I did in the vellum here. And they're just gorgeous. So they're going to pop up in all sorts of projects eventually. So we've got that. We've got a background cover die, a debossing cover die. I really love these dotted deboss cover dies. I think Altenew has 3 of them, and we're going to use 2 of them this month. And then this little love die, you may not recognize this, but I will show you where it is from. That's our project for today. It's super glittery. I love this card. It could be for Valentine's Day. It could be for a wedding. Wouldn't this be a gorgeous wedding card? I mean, just absolutely beautiful. All right, let's flip over to the full hands view so we can get started. Oh, I did want to pull out. I totally forgot. Because I have like all my supplies pulled out and stuff too, but and I've got already just some smaller pieces of the cardstock ready to go. This is the glitter cardstock I'll be using today. The Dazzling Diamonds glitter cardstock set from Altenew, and then their Gilded glitter cardstock set. I'll be using the silver. This is sterling silver is the color of this one. So they're just slightly different. This is more of a white silver, and this is more of a darker silver. So those are the 2 glitters that I'll be using. And of course the gold foil and all that other good stuff. All right. So the hard part about this card is just all the layering, right? And layer dies can sometimes be confusing, but I find that the Altenew layering dies with their flowers are actually pretty straightforward. So we will have no problems putting that together. All right. So besides the background piece, I'm using the Dotted Swirls Debossing cover die for that. And I wanted to show you guys what that looks like. You don't really need a full-size die cutter. So I already cut this through my Gemini machine. See, it doesn't fit through my mini blossom. It just doesn't fit. So you got to have a full-size one for this. All right. But here's a tip. When I'm using this kind of die, I always make sure that I use a little bit of Post-it tape or washi tape to make sure that I hold it in place and it gets nice and square on this background die. So that way it doesn't go wonky through my die machine or anything like that. And you know, you honestly don't even have to pull the tape off of the back of it, like if that still is on there, because once it goes on your card, you're never going to see it. All right, so this is just like a bunch of little dots. It makes this beautiful deboss pattern. You can use either side of it, actually. It's out of the way. There we go. All right, let's see. It gives us that nice, beautiful, it's like a quilted pattern. Absolutely stunning. All right, so all by itself, this is really just a cool panel. All right, but we're going to do a technique that I shared recently on the channel on my Tuesday technique videos. Now we're going to do some water embossing. This is the only way that you can really get a water spot look to your embossing, like a splatter look. All right, so this is just gold embossing powder, super fine gold. It can be regular gold, doesn't have to be super fine. And full disclosure, this is like a mix of 5 different brands because I'm always just getting a new brand and popping it in here. So this is probably a mix of Altenew and Wow, and maybe like some ancient Stampin' Up. Although I would hope by now that that had all worked its way out here. But anyway, so I've got my gold embossing powder, and I'm using it all the time, so that's why I've got it all in this bigger container. All right, and I've got my panel here. So I'm just going to take my water spritzer, and you know, with this particular water spray, I like it a lot because when I push slowly on it, I get smaller beads or larger beads of water. Okay, so you can get like larger beads of water versus a fine mist if you spray it. Okay, so I'm going to kind of spray it slow so I can get like water beaded down the center. Now this is just plain white paper, and so the water is going to soak into it pretty quickly. So you have to move fast. Good news is you can do this more than once, right? I didn't have to use any anti-static powder, not necessary for this. But check that out. So look, I've got these gorgeous water spots on here, and they are beautiful, organic, you know, it's just like what would naturally happen. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I'm just going to go ahead and heat this up. Okay, so did you see what happened there? As I was heating this up, the water evaporated faster than the powder could melt. So some of it did fly away. All right. So you may have to do it once or twice, especially if you're using plain white cardstock. If you're using watercolor paper, it's going to stick a little bit better. So you may not have as much of a problem. So you just need to move a little faster. I was kind of chatting with one of my subscribers. She had asked the question about this, and I had an idea, and I'm going to share that with you in a minute here. All right. So the idea is this. She said, my subscriber was asking about using the water and if you had to do it fast because it was going to evaporate or whatever. And so I thought about it and I was like, yeah, I tend to, and I had some on here that I didn't really care about. So there we go. I tend to move pretty quick when I use the water because if it does evaporate, like your embossing powder has nothing to stick to and it's just going to blow away, right? But it got me thinking, what if I created a spray bottle with a mix of glycerin and water so that it had a little bit of a sticky base to it? And you could get the same effect, but with like a glycerin water that would allow the embossing powder to stick a little better for a little longer. And I haven't tried it yet. I just came up with the idea today. So I'm going to give that a try maybe this weekend and I'll let you know. All right, so that's what we're going to do with the embossing. It's just a little background effect, so it doesn't need to be a whole lot. So there we go. So the question is out in the chat is, does the embossing come off when the water dries? No, it's stuck to the paper at this point, right? Because it's melted finally onto the paper. And that's really all your embossing ink is doing, is it's keeping that powder in place until it can melt and adhere to the paper. So nope, it's not going to come off. And look, I kept my heat gun here just a little too long, and so it burnt. We're going to cover it up so it's all right. So this can go on our card base, and then it's going to get set aside. All right, so this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. It's going to fit right on my card base. And I like to be careful with this. You need to put a light amount of glue on here because sometimes the glue likes to pop up through these little holes. The other option you have is to use a double-sided adhesive sheet, and that'll keep any adhesive obviously from coming up through those little holes. So just make sure you put enough on there, but not so much that it's going to smush through. So we just don't want that to happen. Right, and if for some reason you've got like some wonkiness going on because you heat set this with the embossing powder on it, you can grab yourself a couple of acrylic blocks and pop them on top just to keep that nice and flat. I layer a couple on top of there, just keep it flat while we are working on our other stuff. All right, so we're gonna pop that over in the corner. Okay, so now we get to all of the fun die cutting. Let's take a look at what we've got here. So here's our new Craft a Flower. This is coming out on Monday the 7th. So stay tuned. Of course, we will have a hop for this. It's got 4 flower pieces plus like your little inside stamen type pieces. And then it's got, well, actually 5 because it's got a couple of little pieces here for these little bits, and then you've got the 3 leaves. All right, so it's all my pieces here. And of course, on the back, it always gives you a beautiful layering guide so you know exactly how to go. And what I like is that they tell you like your background color is this dark purple here. I think this is grapevine, and so you can see in here where that's going to show up. Sometimes they're built so that the darkest color is on the top, and sometimes they're built so that the darkest color is in the background. In this case, the darkest color is in the background. All right, so we will keep that in mind as we are creating. And I have all my pieces ready to go. So here's our 2 silvers. This is the Dazzling diamonds, and this is the stainless steel? No, sterling silver from the different card packs. Okay, and Altenew makes these in 3x6 so that they will fit through the mini blossom. All right, I've got a piece of double-sided adhesive because we'll need that later for the word. I've got some gold foil here, got some white, and I've got some vellum. All right, so that is what we're going to use. And we're going to start with our piece of sterling silver to cut our background. So that's our outline die here. And of course, this is going to fit right through our mini blossom. So now it's all about cutting out all these pieces. All right, so here's our background. All right, put that right up there. Don't know that I need that again, but I will leave it over there. Okay, so as with any layering die, you kind of have to look and see which is next. So you see how these 2 have like these little open bits in here. So here's one that's going to be the next layer. And then there's this one that is this layer. All right, so you can tell the difference between the 2 because you see how this one has like a more open space. So if I layered this one on top of each other, you would see some stuff underneath it. So this is going to be the 3rd layer. This is our 2nd layer. So for our 2nd layer, I'm going to use vellum. And this is going to give us a really cool effect over the glitter. So just tape that on there. And then oops, you know what? I forgot. So sometimes vellum is a little persnickety. And I did want to use the shim over the top to help cut that out. This is a little bit, the vellum is a little thicker. Come on. And it didn't cut all the way through. There we go. When you hear lots of cracking, that's a good thing. Getting all those pieces cut out. There we go. See, and look, I got all that. Those extra little die cut pieces coming out. All right, so let's see. Oh, see, and it popped right out. That's perfect. It's just what you want. All right, so we're going to come back to the vellum. We're going to pop that out. Now, I don't want to glue this down yet because part of the vellum is going to be showing and part of the vellum isn't. And I don't want to have like any little glue spots. So we're going to do a little trick here. Okay. So next I'm going to do 2 layers of white, right? And then we're going to do something really cool in a little bit here to make them pop. Okay. So remember I said this was going to be our next one. And you know what? I'm just going to keep the metal shim going. Maybe not. Okay, so when you're using the metal shim, it doesn't always work to have something right up against the edge. You need to give it a little bit of purchase to start going before you run it through. So, and Nancy has a good point. If you've got dies that kind of look similar, or if they're layering, you can always label them with a permanent marker. That does work pretty well. All right. So here we go. This particular one, we're still at the point where we're popping out little pieces. Later on, we're going to actually be saving all these little pieces. So, but not from these. All right. And then we've got this one and this one. So see, this is all those little accent pieces. And then this one has multiple pieces kind of going around as well. All right, so we're going to have to manage our pieces here in a minute. But before we do that, let's start some assembly. So these will be our last 2 pieces for this guy. All right, so far I have 1, 2, 3 pieces, right? So this one is going to layer on top of this. And as you can see, like a lot of that vellum is going to get covered, but some of it isn't. This layers on top perfectly. So I'm going to glue it together first and then glue this on top of our glitter paper. All right, so let me zoom in just a little bit so you can see that happen. All right, so this is our top layer right now. And lots of different glues that you can use. I'm always using my trusty Tombow because it works. I like to make sure that I get all these little itty bitty spots. There we go. All right, and so it just lines right up. So like literally edge to edge in some places. There we go. So now I know exactly where I can put glue on this, where it won't show on the vellum. All right. So I'm just making sure that everything is in the right place. Okay. So I'm just going to put obviously glue in the spaces where the white is overlapping the vellum, and then I won't have any problems. You won't see any glue showing through. Right. Now we're gluing onto glitter paper. And this is going to fit right around the whole thing. Like so. All right, this needs a little bit of staying power, so we're going to grab ourselves another block. Actually, 2 blocks. I'm just going to stack them up on top and leave them to dry for a minute. All right, so I've got that whole little pile right there popped up back here. Because you know, glitter paper doesn't like to glue right away. So we need to give that a minute to adhere. Okay. Next, we've got these little pieces, and we've got some leaves. All right, let's back up just a little bit more here. There we go. Okay, so our next layer is going to be white again. All right, so I've got another piece of white cardstock here. And I've got my shim. This shim is really thick. It's very bendable, so you can bend it back into place to make it nice and flat again if you need to. Run that through. So this one is, like I said, one of those ones where you're going to want to keep some of these random pieces. So this whole little thing is one piece. All right, so set that aside. And then I've got these random pieces, and I'm just going to kind of leave them in the white here since they're staying there so nicely. That way we don't have to worry about it. All right. Then we're getting into the small stuff. So I've got this piece here. This is our little detail pieces. All right, and then we've got leaves and all sorts of other things. So what I'm going to do is just cut a smaller chunk of this, so we can put more than one thing on our mini blossom while we're going. All right, so I've got that. And you know, like tape doesn't really stick so well to this, but sometimes you can get it to stick for just long enough that it'll keep that together. All right, so this piece here, it's okay that it's going to stick off the end. So my stamen for the center, I've got this little detail piece and then this piece here. I'm not going to use the outline piece. I'm just going to use this piece because I really just don't need that little outline. The gold is going to work just fine on its, I believe. Oh no, I lied. I'm going to use a piece of white. That little background. All right, so just a piece of white. All right, so there's that and that and that and that. And while we're at it, we can get a few of these leaves on here to start cutting out the leaves because we're going to need a couple of each. So that looks like that'll work. And we just keep cutting stuff out. All right. So these leaves have like little detail bits here. I'm not going to use those. We're just going to use this part here. All right, so like some pretty leaves. I mean, just this by itself is absolutely gorgeous. So like I said, the reason why I was really drawn to this die set was because of the leaves. Because they're really, really pretty. Just these single bits. All right, so then this piece here is our little center. And it does have two little bits that pop out of it. So there we go. And our little center. This looks like Australia. There we go. And these are our bits for the rest of the flower. So we'll leave that there. Okay. Leaves. Leaves, 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 leaves. So another piece of vellum here. We need a whole bunch of these background full leaves and a whole bunch of these. So we'll throw those all on there together. And again, cover them up with our shim and run that through. So see, even that is just really pretty all on its own. Vellum. Okay, looks like I could probably get one more leaf. What else do we need? We need 2 more of the backgrounds or the detail layers. So let's do that. There we go. So that should be good for gold accents. And then probably a couple more leaves. And you know, I realized that this piece of paper here is not the right size. It's too big to go through. All right, so Carmen asks if, oh, she says, I wish there was an option to buy extra leaf dies. Yeah, I totally agree. I would always get like some extra leaves. You know, there's always another option to like use another leaf die set to mix and match. There's nothing wrong with doing that either. So lots of ways that you could work around it if you have some leaf dies that look good with it. Otherwise, yeah, I would totally have multiple leaves and run them all through my big die cut machine. And that would save a lot of time. All right, so a couple of detailies, a couple of those. I think I've got room for one more. Don't know if I need it. I would have to look at my project and see. So yeah, so leaves sets that come to mind would be like the tropical leaves. It's like a whole set of different leaves with like different patterns and cutouts and things. And they've got 2 sets that are like that. I have both of them, so those would always be like an option that would of something that would go really nicely with this set. All right, so that is it for all of our die cutting. Don't ask me how these are all fitting on here. They don't really all fit on here, but good enough. Okay, so sometimes you do need a reference, and I find it best to use like the biggest reference possible so my eyes can see it better. So we'll use the front of the packaging to do that. All right. So here is my reference. Oh, it's all in there anyway. Okay, so this should be dry. And it is. There we go. All right. We can move in just a little bit. Okay, so here we go. We've got 3 layers on this already. We've got the background, which is the silver glitter. We've got our vellum, and then we've got a layer of white. So our next layer is another layer of white. All right, so it's all these little bits here. The reason why I kind of kept this is because it will help us place things. So if you're smart about it, you can do something like this. All right, did you see what I did there? So here's my piece, and then I've got this here. I'm going to take this and just temporarily tape it on the back. And now we just have to glue these pieces in. Oh, and apparently my face camera decided to freeze. So let's just turn that off. Yep, it is officially frozen, but I think everything else is good. So we're just going to continue. Okay. So these guys, I have that glued back. Let's grab another piece. There, that'll be helpful. So it's just some temporary tape to help keep everything in place. There we go, that's better. All right, so now I can go ahead and glue these guys and just pop them into the spaces. And that's going to get us some easy alignment. You're not going to have to guess where these parts go. Does it always work this way? No, it does not always work this way. But when it does, it's super slick. All right, so just remember to get just the tiniest bit of glue on these little end pieces so that you can make sure that they stick down. All right, so we're just putting it right back in the hole. Now you don't have to do it this way either. If you don't want to bother with the puzzle piece concept, you can always just use your reference and figure out where it goes. This also kind of helps keep it from going wonky. So if you've got like all these little bits here that like to like stretch out and things like that, that's super helpful. So that's that piece. And then here's our last one. All right. There we go. Okay, so now that those are all in there and pressed on firmly, and take this all apart. Carefully. All right, so when you're lifting up your little template here, just want to make sure that your other piece stays glued down. And there we go. So these pieces are all properly placed. All right, and if you look at our sample here, that looks pretty right. Very good. All right. So then our last piece is all of these little guys here, and these you're going to have to kind of figure out as you go. So as I'm looking at my sample here, I've got these two, and then this guy, and this. So there's 4 little pieces. All right, so this first one is going to go, you see how this kind of runs right there? And we're going to follow this line right here. And then this second large piece is designed to, so there's like a little scallop here, and that's designed to follow right along this line. All right, so you're going to follow that line. So it gives you this space right here. All right. And then we've got these little bitty bits. So like right in here. So these can be approximate. And then this little teeny tiny one is just like this little highlight. Teeny tiny highlight. All right, and it is going right here. see how this piece right here on top, it's going to go right there. Like so. This is the teeniest, tiniest little piece. There's a little curve right here. They fit together. Fiddly. Super, super fiddly. All right. So there we go. That is putting it together so far. All right, so our next step, we need to start getting a little color in here. So we've got our little center piece, our little stamen, or our Australia, as I called it. And actually, I did that incorrectly. Should have put the glue on the back of this piece. So whatever glue I have on my fingertips, that's actually going to be enough. And these guys are going to match up exactly. And Sue is totally right. These, especially the teeny tiny pieces, wherever you put them, they're going to look great. All right, so then this guy can go. He's going to get nestled down in here. And there is like a little swoop on the bottom of that. It fits right there. It fits together like a puzzle. So now that's come to life because we've got some gold in there. It's really pretty. Okay, so we're going to add some gold to this. So remember, we did these 2 layers of white, and there's a reason why we did that. So I've got this is a gold gel pen. This is the new must-have gel pens from Altenew. I think they came out earlier in the month. Later last month, I guess, now that it's February. So I'm going to come in even closer. We're going to do a stipple effect that's going to give us some dimension. So this is a gold gel pen. It's not a felt tip. It is actually a rollerball tip. So let me show you what that looks like. Scrap here. So you're not going to want to press really hard with this because otherwise the rollerball will stop. It's kind of like a white gel pen. So a nice light touch will get you all of these beautiful gold. So it is gold. It's kind of like the enchanted gold because it's got that like yellow gold to it. All right, so it does have a metallic sheen to it. And what I'm going to do is in all of these spaces, so where the white is on top of the white. So like if you're looking at my hand here, where my top hand overlaps the bottom hand, right in here is where I'm going to put some stipple effect to give it depth. All right, so right in here, where this white is underneath this top white piece, I'm just going to do some stippling. All right, and that's going to give us some depth from the one underneath. So it's almost like a faux glitter, if you will. All right, and then we'll even do a little bit here. So especially in these nooks and crannies where they meet. And then as it comes further away from the piece that is overlapping it, you're going to go farther away. So you can see how it's more concentrated here, and then I have less as I go. That's what you want to do. So more concentrated in here, and then just kind of stipple it out. And you can do as much or as little of this as you like. You could do none at all. You could do it in black. You could do it in silver. I'm doing gold for a nice contrast. Otherwise, it was just kind of like too icy. There we go. Yeah, I think that's good. So now we've got some extra depth, dimension, all that good stuff. Ooh, that's it. Now we can assemble our card. All right. So let me just double check my face cam. I'm pretty sure it is. Yep. That's a great face to have frozen on there. Okay, well, we're gonna leave that. All right. So, oh, I almost forgot. The last thing I need is the sentiment. So the love came from the All About You word die set. So this is got the you, so everything's supposed to be like, hey you, love you, miss you, rock you, etc. But you can just use them separately. So there's the love. And of course there's the outline part of it, and then there's the inside. And I'm just using the little inside because it's nice and skinny. All right, so that, let's see if I have a gold, oh, I do. Maybe I don't. Kind of hoping I had a scrap that would work. Maybe this one will. Ooh, well. Check that out. So I'm going to use some double-sided adhesive sheet on this so I can make sure that it sticks. All right, so when you're using a scrap like this, you definitely don't want to leave your sticky sheets hanging out like that. So what I'm going to do is tack that down and then just cut around it to get rid of the excess sticky sheets so I don't have to worry about this sticking to my plates when I run it through my die cut, right? Because that would be gross. Let me run this through real quick. All right, now we can do some assembly. Okay, so remember our card base was chilling under some blocks. So there we go. Card base is ready to go. We're going to cover up our little, whoops there. Because we're going to have like our flower in here, and now we've got all these leaves, right? So we're going to set this aside for a moment. We're going to use our base here to figure out how we want to do this. Now at this point I can go either direction. I can go this way or I can go this way. So this card we did in portrait. It's really, really gorgeous this way. Let's see what it's going to look like if we do like a landscape. So I think for some of these, so here's what we've got. So now it's just about arranging, floral arranging. And you want it to be kind of triangular. Okay. And we're gonna get some leaves behind. And then figure out like where we want a gold accent or two. So, maybe something like that. And then maybe we're hopping a little bit behind. All right, so right now I'm trying to work in the confines of my landscape view. And I think it can be done. So this would all kind of move over just a little bit because see, we've got lots of space there, so I'm not concerned. So that. And then maybe, so I may not use actually as many leaves because it may just not need it. So something along those lines. Might do it, and then I could put the love up here. I try to just leave it intact. There we go. So I could do that. It looks like a postage stamp. All right, so this is our idea. So let's do this. We're going to take some of our Post-it tape and tape these leaves in place because we kind of like where they are. All right, so these guys, try and grab them as much as I can. And then okay, so now I can take my glue and just lift up, especially on these pieces here that are the gold, and adhere them together just to get us a little bit of assembly. All right. And then I'm going to take put some glue around here, and I'm going to put my flower right into it. Now I can rearrange these guys so that they are in the place that I want them to be on my little card map here. And then go ahead and drop my flower right on top of it. And then we're going to hold for a minute because we want it to grab. Okay, let's see. Grab the one side. All right, flip this over. And we're gonna pop this up. So if you wanted to put it flat on the card, that would be great. I'm gonna pop this up with some foam adhesive. All right, so Lisa wants to know if I had luck with press and seal. Yeah, I do. It kind of depends on like how many layers you have, like overlapping each other, if they grab all the layers or not. It's it just depends. Sometimes it works one way, sometimes it works better this way. So now I can pull out this little, see, it grabbed that leaf along with it, and I didn't want it to do that. So back in. It's not an exact science, so you know, I might just leave this out until I get it flipped over and I know where that really needs to go. All right. So then this can come off here. I just didn't want those to get like really stuck in there and then not be able to do anything about it. And I also wanted to know where the Magnolia ended so I knew where I could continue to add foam. So the foam, of course, now at this point is going to help keep a lot of this in place. So there we go. And if you've used the Altenew foam, you know it is super, super sticky. All right, so let's see what we got. So there we go. That's going to be gorgeous. And then this is going to fit in here. I might trim it. Yeah, let's just get rid of that. Put a little glue on the end. And then just kind of pop it in there. So we've got like loose ends, which is good. This gives the arrangement motion. It gives it life. So it looks really, really cool. And now I can Remove my foam backing and stick it down. So again, remember we had that burnt spot there. We're going to cover that up. You could leave this without the sentiment on it if you weren't sure what you were going to use it for. You could just leave it sentimentless and pop it in the mail anyway. It would look gorgeous this way. Or, of course, you can add our sentiment in. I'm going to pop out the centers and the backing. There we go. And I'm going to pop my glove up in the top here. So I'm just kind of eyeballing where it should go. If I press it a little bit and maybe poke in these little holes, it's going to be enough to release it. There. So now we've got a vertical and a horizontal. Beautiful projects. No stamping necessary. So there we go, guys. My face screen is definitely still frozen. Otherwise, I would pop over there. Yep, see, still frozen. And I guess we're just going to have to give up on that for today. Because it's just not going to work. I think that particular webcam is on its way out. And it is what it is, because we came here for the crafting anyway. So, guys, on your way out today, I really do hope that you click on the like button and let me know that you liked this live stream and let YouTube know that you like the content that I'm putting out there. I really do appreciate all of your support, whether it's through subscribing or liking or sharing out my content or using affiliate links to shop or whatever it is that you do to say thank you. I appreciate it. I will be back here. Oh, I meant to tell you, I will be back here next Wednesday, because I have something going on Thursday that I can't avoid. So I will be here on Wednesday next week, 4 o'clock US East, Central Time. So just move it back a day. Because I can't be here on Thursday, and we're gonna do some more running with scissors, having fun with paper and dies this month. So I will see you next Wednesday, and until then, guys, happy crafting.